Okay, looks like we're recording. All right, I did a search for 95758 on your agent site or my agent site here. What you're going to see, of course, is the map and the boundaries for that search. There are 51 properties currently for sale in this area, according to the site. It does sort them by recently updated. The reason I need to start with this agent site tutorial for you is as a realtor, you need to know exactly how your consumers are going to use your website. You need to use your website just like your consumers do, because of course they're going to come to you with questions. And so I wanted to make sure that you understood how this site works, similar to Zillow, for instance, because if your clients are on Zillow and they wanted to do a search for the same zip code, for instance, they can come in here and they can do the same thing on Zillow. They're going to see a map with the boundary and a bunch of dots and then the properties that are for sale there. You'll see on Zillow, they have 87 results. We all know that Zillow intentionally puts things on their website that aren't necessarily on the market to make it look like they have more inventory. So you can be rest assured that we don't do that. We actually have real inventory on your agent site. In fact, I actually went and did that same search on Redfin, another leader that people use it, and they currently have 50 homes on Redfin. And then I did a search for another big brokerage competitor, the big balloon. Did the same search, 46 results. Here's what I need you to know. If you were to do a search for any zip code or any city, anywhere across the country on 6 different real estate websites, you will get 99% of the time, 6 different sets of results. That is the nature of the beast of online data feeds or MLS data feeds that go to websites. Now, here's the really important thing for you to know. When your consumers are using your website, you get to track all of the activity that's happening on their site. Now, they do have to register, of course, for privacy reasons, and then you can actually see any activity that's going on there. Now, we have all of this information. We've got a property search here, which is really fantastic. Of course, if I go over to Zillow and we want to dive into why they have more results, because your consumers are going to ask, ultimately, if you go into their filters and you drop down, what you're going to see is pre-foreclosures. Let's see when we drop that out. Check it out. It just dropped down to just 65 listings. I drop out foreclosures or buy owner, for sale by owners. I start bringing out some of these coming soons and auctions there. Now we're starting to get down to the real results that are similar. So now I'm going to jump over to MetroList, because we all know that MetroList is our MLS. Current list as of about an hour ago, 42 properties. So what I want you to see is that MetroList is the data source. Ultimately, we know that. And our active clients should be in a saved search inside of MetroList. However, if you go to any other site, 46 results, 50 results, 52 results, 51 results, they're all in that vicinity. And yet there's some changes, and there's a handful of different reasons why that might be. Number one reason for our website that we probably see a couple extras is that ultimately some people put listings in multiple places. For instance, if I scroll into this area right over here, here's what we know. The Apple campus is right here, and we have a listing right in this vicinity that's been put into 2 MLSs. Here you can see the same listing, 2724 Burton Alley Court, ultimately, and I'm not blaming the listing agent for doing this because I think it's probably an okay strategy. They listed this in multiple MLSs because, of course, Apple campus being in Mountain View, we're in the Palo Alto area, and then of course in Elk Grove, they have a lot of transfers going back and forth. And so naturally we might see some differentiating results. And so it's important to be aware of how this stuff works. Now, let's go back over to Zillow really quickly. And let's just say that we wanted to do a search, not for a zip code, not for a city, because all these websites can all do that, but let's do a search for a neighborhood. So I live in Laguna Lake. So I'm going to come in here and I want to search for the neighborhood Laguna Lake. And what you have probably heard is that Keller Williams has exclusive access to all of the next door neighborhoods on our site. Now, Zillow freaked out when Keller Williams made that announcement. We have 180,000 agents across the United States and across the world. And Zillow freaked out the moment that Keller Williams announced that we had neighborhoods. Now, some agents around the country said, holy cow, these neighborhoods are not accurate. They're not the same neighborhoods as our MLSs. Well, guess what? Zillow did the exact same thing we did, except that they couldn't get the real neighborhoods and the real neighborhood names from next door because we had exclusive access to it at Keller Williams, which is really great for you. But they went and emulated it the best they possibly could. And so, of course, they can do a search for a neighborhood, and they now have the ability to do that, just like your clients can search for any particular neighborhood, like Laguna Lake, for instance, and they can pull up all of the properties. The difference with your website and Zillow is that Zillow can only show you properties that are for sale there. Well, the labs team at Keller Williams International actually sat down with consumers and said, why do you want to be able to search for a neighborhood? And they said that they want to be smarter about the specific hyper-local market. This is something that Zillow cannot do. In fact, nobody really is doing this at scale like you are here at Keller Williams. What we have is a walkability score for that specific neighborhood. We have what locals talk about in that particular neighborhood. This is huge because consumers told us they want to get smarter about an area. So at Keller Williams, you have access to what locals are talking about in a neighborhood. You see, we went and made a partnership with an artificial intelligence company that goes and watches what people are posting online, what they're talking about, what type of businesses they're reviewing, what type of places they're shopping at, what type of pictures they're posting. And we actually get a snapshot of the actual people of a community, which is pretty stinking cool. And then, of course, the consumer said, not only do we want to get smarter about that neighborhood, when we do a search for a specific area, almost immediately we go back over to Google Maps and we find out what the commute times are going to be for us at work when we're searching for homes. So what did we do? Well, at Keller Williams, of course, we just integrated that right into our website. You, every single one of you, have the power to be able to do this, where your clients can do a search and they'll get drive times, biking times, walking times for any property, any neighborhood that they search for anywhere inside the ecosystem. This is how you win against search aggregators like companies like Zillow. Then we go down and consumers told us they care about schools. So of course we went and got school scores. Then we also grabbed student to teacher ratios and we populated that right onto your website. They also told us that they want to be able to go see what type of businesses are in the area. Now, this particular neighborhood is a little gated community with no businesses, but there is a small home-based business that's running right here. But of course, we're always going to go outside of a community when there's a business right around the corner from a community or a neighborhood, and we're going to drop that right in. Why? Because consumers told us that when they do a home search, they immediately, after going to Google and finding out what the commute times are, they then go to Yelp to find out what type of businesses are in the area, what grocery stores, what gyms. They want to get smarter about the hyper-local area. So I would challenge you, go on your website and do some searches like this. And then I would say that once you've played around with your website and you feel comfortable with it, then you start having conversations. Because this is what Zillow does not have that you do have. Zillow does not have a relationship with your sphere of influence. They don't have a relationship with your database. You do, and they can't replace that. And so when you reach out to your clients and have a conversation about how they can do a search in any MLS across the country, and they can pull up drive times and they can pull up businesses, they can even find out what people are talking about in that particular neighborhood, they can get smarter about real estate, whether they want to learn about a neighborhood or a particular listing or a zip code or a city. It's all available and it's all right there. And of course, on our site, we're also going to jump them over to other neighborhoods that are right next door, because again, consumers said that they want to get smarter about that local market. So we can get in here, we can see what homes come up for sale in a particular area. We'll even produce a market snapshot, what the average days on market, average home price, all of that fun stuff. So I hope that helps. Here's the other thing that really sets you apart as the realtor of choice. Well, your clients can actually search by place of interest. This is not possible on Zillow. And unfortunately, Zillow's not going to tell people that they can't do it on their site. It's your responsibility to have conversations with your sphere of influence to show them how they can do things like this. In other words, what we know is that consumers will actually search. They'll oftentimes go to Google and they will search for a place of interest, and they'll get an idea, and then they'll go over to Zillow or whatever website that they want to search for real estate on, and then they'll perform a search for that area. Well, you can have a conversation with your clients. Let's say your clients get accepted into, what do we have? University of the Pacific. You guys are all familiar with that. We can do a search here, and what you're going to see is I'm going to switch this map view over to satellite. It'll give you a better idea. You guys might be familiar with this area. What just happened is a search for UOP, University of the Pacific. And what our website does is it'll actually drop them right on top of the campus. And as I scroll out, what you're going to see is all of the homes that come up for sale in that area. Consumers actually do searches based on places of interest. They can do searches based on a great tourist spot that they want to go to. Maybe it's the college that their kid gets accepted into, that they're curious about buying an investment property next to. Ultimately, your website can do things that other sites just cannot do. And this is through our partnership with Google and Google Maps. And so ultimately, your first responsibility, if you want to beat these other tech companies in the game of actually keeping in relationship with your clients, is you have to get super intimate with the technology stack that you have in your arsenal. When I say that, I mean, you got to use your website. Stop using Zillow, stop using Redfin. You can say you don't, but trust me, I know 90% of you on this call have been to Zillow in the last 30 days. That's okay, and I have too. We need to know what our competition is doing, and yet we need to use our websites. We need to use our mobile apps. We need to do what we want our consumers to do. And so we need to get intimate with that technology by just using it. So when we know that our website can do everything that Zillow does, with the exception of the Zestimate, and let's be honest, we all know how that is just completely accurate or not. But your website can already do all the things that Zillow can do, and yet you've got the relationship that Zillow doesn't have. And so please, 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 this is your opportunity to have conversations with your clients, but you can only do it when you're comfortable with it. So that's the first step. Knowing your website, knowing how to use your website, knowing how to perform a search, what makes your website different, or your consumer app, by the way, the app works the same as the website. Know how it works differently. Know what you can do there that you can't do on other sites. Know how Zillow is just trying to R&D what we're doing to try to stay ahead. Now, when you know that you've got a website that's as good, if not better, than Zillow or any other site out there, then what? Well, last thing you need to know is, of course, if you didn't know this, your KW website, your agent website, is not limited to an MLS. What does that mean? Well, your clients, we know they're going to Santa Cruz for the weekends. They're trying to get away. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but they go out to Santa Cruz for a weekend. Well, when they're there, they like to search for homes. So guess what? Your agent site, when they're in Santa Cruz for the weekend, they can search for homes in Santa Cruz, and you can see that your clients are searching for homes in Santa Cruz. Does that mean they're going to buy a house in Santa Cruz and sell their house in Lodi? No, and yet it's important for us to be aware that they're doing searches in other areas. This is something we did not have the power to do in any of our sites in the past. In fact, it's also something you don't have the ability to do in almost any other real estate website out there, with the exception of your agent site inside of Command. We were able to do this because Gary Keller formed a company called KWX. That's our holding company. We saw it all over the news about 2 weeks ago. And he started buying up all these other companies. And he bought a company called Smarter Agent, which was an IDX company that has IDX agreements with all of these different MLSs across the country, which then allow you as Keller Williams agent to be able to have all of the listings in any MLS across the country. Let's say COVID starts loosening up 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, it doesn't matter. Your clients are going to start going back to Hawaii. They're going to go to Las Vegas. They're going to go visit their family in Kansas. Your website has the ability for them to search MLS data anywhere across the country. In fact, they even can do United States and Canada. So this is a huge opportunity for you to take your people back. They want to work with you. They actually don't want Zillow to know everything they're looking at. They'd rather you know, because they trust you, because you have a relationship. So it's just important to know that you can search any MLS across the country. And I say any, virtually any. It's 98% of the MLSs across the country. Now, I'm going to just open up the chat box because I saw a couple messages come in. I just want to see what's going on here. And let's just make sure. It looks like a couple announcements. No questions. Janet asked, how often does AI update this information? We're constantly updating. So when it comes to the MLS feed, we're updating about every 30 minutes. The AI, the artificial intelligence, we have a direct API feed. That's tech jargon. Don't worry about it. But we have a direct API feed with a company called spatial.ai. And so ultimately, as that changes, of course, ours is going to change on our end as well. That's the big part about having our own platform called Keller Cloud, where we could build command and then plug in these relationships with other places. But big one there is that MLS updates in our site every 30 minutes or so. Now, give or take, of course, but if you ever see that a listing is on the market and it's not showing up on our website, Brian Halstead is your market center tech trainer. He works directly with me and with Michelle and with Patrick and with Patty and with Peggy and all of your leaders that you have there. Ultimately, if you ever see a feed that doesn't seem right, in other words, a listing is on the market, but it's not showing up on our website, report it to us immediately because we care. We want that feed to be as accurate as possible. Good news is it is super accurate right now, which is really great. Antonia said, is the information available on our websites about neighborhoods, et cetera, also available on the Neighborhood Watch? You're referring to the Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan. Some of it is. The market snapshots are. We do not see what locals say in our market snapshot. However, we are going to be rebuilding the monthly neighborhood nurture and the biweekly neighborhood nurture in the months to come. And so we're going to start seeing more and more integration of that information in there, which is really stinking great. Jeff said, how often am I bleaching my hair? Great question. Doesn't matter. Good to see you, Jeff. And then Renee said, it's so important that we realtors stop using Zillow. Yes, although, caveat, our clients are still using Zillow. And while our clients are using Zillow, it is important, of course, for you to know what your clients are using. However, absolutely stop paying Zillow. Stop funding the companies that are trying to do their best to get in front of our clients and eliminate the realtor relationship. And so here's what you need to do. If you're leveraging Zillow to lead generate for you, if you're leveraging Zillow to lead generate, or you're even considering doing it, here's what you do instead. I'm going to jump back over here, and this time we're going to go into command. Instead of paying Zillow, here's what we know. Average cost per lead with Zillow is $76. You can write that down if you want to. It's $76 per lead, okay? Now, what we're seeing Zillow do is they're actually changing from a cost per lead model to a referral fee model to where they're actually charging 35% per closed transaction. What's that? Now we're talking like $2,000 per lead. Now, if it has a higher conversion rate, is it worth it? Possibly. It depends on your return, but here's what I know. You don't need to pay Zillow for those leads. Oftentimes, you can generate those same leads inside of Command, and you can generate them for much cheaper. If the average cost per lead with Zillow is $76, you could always go run Facebook ads, get those same leads, the same type of people in the area that are searching for real estate, and you could do it through Facebook, and you could run ads getting leads between $7 to $9. $7 to $9. So we're talking 10% of the cost of a Zillow lead. So instead of paying Zillow, who's actively trying to compete with you, you could go straight to Facebook, and they're a partner of ours. However, if you're thinking about doing that, I would urge you to consider running a campaign inside of Command. And I know Michelle's been talking about campaigns a lot with you guys. I'm not going to teach you everything you need to know about building a campaign because there's help articles, and I'm going to show you exactly where those are. But I want to show you how to follow up with those leads. But why run a campaign inside of Command? Well, through our partnership with Facebook, we've actually built a custom algorithm just for you, the Keller Williams agents. Through this partnership with Facebook, between Keller Williams and Facebook, we've driven down lead costs from $7 to $9 for running ads right through Facebook, down to $1.71 per lead. That's our average cost per lead inside of Command as of last quarter, Q3 of 2020. $1.71 a lead. Remember, $76 a lead through Zillow, $1.71 on average through Command. So I'd urge you, if you're buying leads from somewhere, go run a campaign inside of Command. Drive down your lead costs. Here's what we know. We've benchmarked all the other lead generation aggregators out there. There's other companies out there that sell leads to realtors. Companies like Commissions Inc., Boomtown, Curator, all sorts of different companies out there. We have the same, if not better, conversion rate than all the other companies out there, and we take no cut. So our leads are less expensive and our conversion rates are just as good. So here's a model for you to use. If you're going to run a campaign, you can scale it. Ultimately, you need to know some conversion rates. The average conversion rate for an online lead across the board is between 1% and 4%. It moves because of follow-up and intensity and how often it's happening. 1 to 4%. I would urge you to go with the low number, 1%. Let's say that 1% of the online leads you generate, you convert. And it might take 6 months to convert that lead. That's okay. We're building a pipeline. That's the whole idea behind lead generation, online lead generation. 1% conversion rate. So let's just say you wanted to close a deal a month. 1 deal a month from online leads. Well, with Zillow, you're looking at, well, let's just say that let's say you have a 4% conversion rate with Zillow leads because you just have maybe a better conversion rate there. How much would you need to spend? That's, $2,340 to get 1 closing. That's how much you would have to spend with a Zillow. That on average, again, we're going all over the board here. I can't do earnings claims, but let's just play with me here. Let's say you wanted to get 1 closing inside of Command and you only had a 1% conversion rate. So complete opposite end of the spectrum. This is just playing safe. Average cost per lead with Keller Williams, $1.71. Let's just tack on 30 cents because you're going to send some text messages. That's going to cost you a little bit of money. Let's call it $2 a lead. We're looking at $200 in leads to get enough leads to close 1 transaction. We're talking 10% cost savings if your conversion rate is a quarter of what it might have been with Zillow. This is a tremendous opportunity. It works so stinking well with you guys. Okay, now I did see a couple questions came through and it looks like they already got answered. Bingo. Looks like everything got answered there. If another question comes through, bring it up to me. Okay, you're going to run a campaign. You're going to bring leads in. What do you do with those leads? You need to get them onto a smart plan. Some of you may know this already. You have a whole library of smart plans to choose from. You don't have to build your smart plan from scratch. And many of you do that the library was there, like the biweekly neighborhood nurture or the monthly neighborhood nurture. You put a new contact into one of these plans, they're going to get an email every 2 weeks or every month about just what's going on in the neighborhoods that you assign them to. However, what a lot of people didn't know was that at Mega Camp about a month ago, we released shared smart plans. We now have over 400 different smart plans to choose from inside of your smart plans library. And the highest rated, most used shared smart plan out there is right at the top. You're going to see it. It's called the 66-Day Challenge 4.0 Facebook Lead Follow-Up Smart Plan. This was built by a gentleman named Marty Miller. Now, if you want to search for it up at the top of your smart plans library, you could just search 66-Day Challenge, or you could search for the author Marty. But either way, you're going to find the 66-Day Challenge Follow-Up. You get to download this for free. You just hit add to smart plan, and then you can add this smart plan and the other 2 smart plans that are bundled together to follow up with your online leads. See, what Marty did is he built a smart plan with all the scripts that you need, emails, text messages, and a couple phone calls. Don't call online leads too much. That's a common misconception. If you call online leads too much, they can get turned off. Text message is a really great way to convert online leads. So utilize a smart plan like the 66-Day Challenge follow-up so that you can then text message and follow up to drive that 1% conversion rate to 2% and cut your cost per closing in half, quite possibly. So if we've got campaigns, we've got a website that can compete or do better than Zillow with more accurate information. We've got campaigns to drive down our lead costs. We have a smart plan to then follow up with our online leads systematically. The last thing you need to do is every time you have a positive conversation with any online lead, no matter where it comes from, whether it's through your campaigns and a cultivated smart plan like the 66-day challenge Facebook follow-up. Every time you have a positive conversation about real estate, go into opportunities and create an opportunity for them immediately. Put that listing opportunity or that buyer opportunity into the cultivate phase. And when you start keeping track of all of your online leads, when you have a positive conversation with them as an opportunity, now you have a pipeline of business bigger than you know what to deal with. And that's a great problem to have. So we know that your website and your mobile app is as good, if not better, than Zillow all the way around. Everybody says it. Now, if you want to argue with me, let's do that one-on-one and we can talk about how your website is better than Zillow's. But here's what we know. Your website is better, okay? Your mobile app is better. Your clients actually like it more, higher satisfaction. Now we also have cheaper leads. So if you want to run new leads and drive new business into your business, we have cheaper leads. Again, about 10% cheaper if you have a low conversion rate, even lower than Zillow's, which again, we've benchmarked, same conversion rates. Then we have smart plans. And then we have opportunities to track your entire pipeline. Here's the great part. With the exception of the campaigns, everything inside of Command is free and you're not fueling the competition. Here's what we know. You've got the relationship with your database. You have the relationship with your community. Zillow does not. And so this is your opportunity to go back, take your people back. If you want to bring new leads into your business, campaigns is by far the cheapest way to do it. Nobody's even gotten close. The cheapest company that's gotten even remotely close is about $550 a lead that I've seen. And I talk with agents all across the country and how they're doing online lead generation. And so here's your opportunity. Go take your people back. Play the game better than Zillow is because you have access to all of the technology already. You've got your smart plans, you've got your campaigns, you've got your website, you have your people, and then you have opportunities to keep track of all of that. Now, I've shown you everything I wanted to show you. I'm going to open up the chat box, see if any other questions came in. And I want you to unmute yourself and ask me any questions that you guys have. If you want to dive deeper into any of these conversations, we can do that. Michele, was there anything that I didn't talk about that you really want me to spend a little bit of time on as I pull up the chat box?
I think you hit a lot. I'm in classes with you so much just now. It's like, yeah, we did really good. So thank you so much. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
We could chat about what's coming. I mean, you've got another class coming up at noon, and then tomorrow's Tech Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you on Teams, many of you have already attended one of my most recent classes, the Take Command of Your Business on the first Wednesday and the third Tuesday. Michele just mentioned third Tuesday is today at noon, right after this. I'm going to jump on and we're going to be talking to teams about how to prepare for the big rollout. For those of you that weren't aware, there's going to be a rollout at some time on the 21st, so on Wednesday. And I believe it's going to happen in the middle of the night on the 21st. So come Thursday, you're going to have a new Teams release of Command. If you have a team or you're building a team or maybe thinking about building a team in the next year, I'd highly encourage you to come to my next class at noon. To get there, you go to monday.zachyounger.com. I'll put it in the chat box in a second to register for the class. It's 100% free. And we're just going to talk about what to do to prepare for the new Teams release coming up on Wednesday. If you don't have a team, you can skip the class on Monday. Come to my next class. I promise we'll be talking about something else on the next class. However, we're going to spend the next hour in Take Command of Your Business on the new Teams rollout. Here's what you need to know about the Teams rollout. We're getting new smart plans, which means that the rainmaker of the team can send all the emails, but the text messages could come from the primary agent connected to that contact record. That's fantastic. We're also going to see some new reporting. We're going to see speed to lead. We're going to see conversion rates for every member of the team. We're going to have transparency into databases and reporting for the rainmaker. We're going to have an option to turn off or turn on personal command accounts, which is going to be fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, this is the last big release that's going to open up command for 98% of our teams. There's a couple huge teams in our organization that may not be able to run their business on command yet. However, 98% of the teams in our company, I believe, come Thursday, will be able to efficiently run their entire business off command. That doesn't mean you should stop using whatever tools are working for you. And yet you should probably consider what it looks like to start transitioning and cutting those costs, increasing conversion rates and all that fun stuff. So that's the big one. The other big release to be aware of was Twilio. I talked about text messaging, your online leads. If you don't have a Twilio account yet, inside of the settings of your command, down at the very bottom of the settings, you can sign up for a Twilio package. You subscribe and it's about $3 a month. I think it's $3.16. That includes 300 text messages. Quick math, it's a penny a text message. If you're not leveraging Twilio to follow up with your leads, to follow up with ultimately the people you have permission to communicate with, you're missing the boat, because we have about a 90% open rate in the first 10 minutes of text messages. If you're relying on emails, you're missing the boat. We only have about a 20% deliverability rate on emails. That's not Keller Williams, that's industry as a whole, 20% deliverability rate. And then out of those that get delivered, only about 18% even get opened in their first 4 hours. Text messages is where it's at, and Twilio is a really great resource. For a penny a text, you can send out text messages from a local area code, and all those communication, all, God bless you, this is nothing to sneeze at. All the text messages all get logged right from the contact record, and you can see it right there, which is really great. What other questions do you guys have? Any questions or anything I can dive a little deeper into?
Jack, I have a question about the teams.
Hey, Peggy, yes.
How are you?
Great.
So, will it turn on the Teams function for everybody the day it goes live? Or I thought I heard a little rumor that there was like a switch that the market center could turn on if our teams weren't quite ready to go.
So when the release happens, it's going to turn on team functionality for all teams.
Yeah.
It will not turn off the personal versions of command until later.
Okay.
So all the team functionality is going to release. By the way, those of you that aren't on Teams, here's what you should be excited about come Thursday at some point, early in the morning probably. You're going to have the ability to sort and edit up to 500 contacts at a time with this new release.
Yay.
So instead of having limited to just 50 contacts at a time, come Wednesday, with this new Teams release, every solo agent and every team will be able to sort and manage your contacts up to 500 at a time, which is really great. And so, Peggy, all the team stuff is going to release when it happens sometime on the 21st, 22nd-ish. And then ultimately, you won't be shutting off people's personal command accounts until a little bit later. There'll be more releases to turn those off.
Okay.
So that's what you heard.
So no delay, teams be ready.
That's right. Teams be ready.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's really great stuff that's coming. Here's the big thing to be aware of for those of you that can't join me for the next class, because we're going to talk about it there. For those of you that are on Teams, an agent on the team has contacts in their personal database. The rainmaker of the team can see those contacts. They can't edit them, but they can see them. When the Teams release happens, all of those contacts in a personal agent's command account will no longer be visible to the rainmaker of the team. So you're going to have one action to take. The agent on your team will go through and do up to 500 contacts at a time. We'll be able to choose to move those to the team account. That way the rainmaker has full visibility and edit, and they can put them on smart plans. The good news is that the agent on the team will still own all those contacts. So if they leave the team, they get to take them with them, but they can now provide the rainmaker to be able to market to them, which is one of the great benefits of being on many teams. And so, of course, we're going to talk about that in the next class, and there'll be trainings and live streams on it from Keller Williams International when the release happens as well. Great question. Michele, it sounded like you were going to ask something a little bit ago too. No?
Can't
Anyone
remember. Don't be laughing, Patty. It's going to happen to you one day.
Here's what we know. You guys already are equipped with great websites. Your clients love them. There are some agents out there that believe that our websites aren't very good. And here's what I found every time I actually got into a conversation with one of those agents is that they actually didn't use their website. They didn't understand how it worked. And so your opportunity is to get intimate with the technology, because here's what we know, your clients are going to. And when your clients are more techie than you, they feel like they need a different realtor sometimes. Just saying. I'm not saying they're going to leave you because you're not techie, but they're at risk. You have a website that's as good or better. You've got a mobile app that's as good or better. You have smart plans with over 500 different libraries to choose from. You have your contacts. You've got hyper local information. You have an MLS search across the entire company or country, excuse me. And you have a pipeline of business through your opportunities, your cultivated opportunities to really keep track of all of those transactions. Guys, I think you've got the best technology stack in the industry. And I say that because every third-party company that's ever done a report on real estate has said that Keller Williams has the best technology in our business, which is pretty exciting. It's only exciting if we use it.
Right.
And we don't just go and pay Zillow to just take our clients away from us. And so here's your opportunity. Go get intimate, ask questions. I just put into the chat box a link to the training that I'm doing next that's going to dive into teams and all the new releases. It's monday.zachyounger.com. You only have to register once and you'll get reminders every third Monday of every single month of whatever the class is going to be. It'll be different revolving topics on what's most relevant for the time. Michele, thank you for allowing me to be here with your agents and pouring into you. Guys, please don't hesitate to reach out when there's something I can support you with. You've got an incredible leadership team, and Brian Halstead is now helping you with all of your technology, and he's traveling around to each of the different locations. I know that all of your leaders in your organization have a passion for servitude, and they understand the technology. So don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know what we can do to support you. Michele, I'm going to pass it back to you.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got it.
Appreciate you too.
Thank you. All right. God bless.
Thank you, Zach.
All right.
Thank you, Zach.
We have about 8 minutes here. I just want to make sure Brian heard me. I'm giving you 5 tickets, Brian, virtual tickets that you can hand out to 5 agents that since you're going to office, you're going to see 5 people, being in culture that you want to hand out. And no, you cannot give them to Norma. Just throwing that one out there. Okay. So it's important that you guys take a look at the scorecard. And I also want you to know that anybody can win. That scorecard could change next week, like drastically, because it changed from last week. So it's very exciting to watch. The 4th quarter is going to be really, really interesting. I do want to do a mastermind. So I'll be putting that out there on offers and how we're getting offers accepted. So I'm going to put something out there shortly, probably tomorrow morning. I'll send out a link and I'll figure out a day, what day we can do that. The more people on there, the more of the mastermind. So I encourage you all to get on there, people who are getting offers accepted, just so we could talk about it a little bit more and see what you're saying on that, on the offer. Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to chat about? Oh, okay. Go get more listings. Thank you guys. Bye.